Everybody. Welcome to this week's Tech Drop-In, the week of 13 June 2025. This week, I'll be covering Megaport connectivity overview. I'll just provide an overview and hopefully illustrate how easy it is to show the simple way of building connectivity on a private network, right? So with Megaport, we believe that connectivity should be something simple that customers have the ability to spin up on demand. So we'll get started. And so a little bit about myself. My name's Brian Bauman. I'm a solution architect for Megaport. I've been at Megaport for over a year now, and I've been in the industry for over 25 years, working mainly in the telecommunications space at a legacy telco, and focusing on cloud connectivity. You can see there's my contact information. Feel free to reach out anytime if you have any questions. Yeah, so let's get started. So at Megaport, our network is made up of over, it says here 930, but I think the slide needs to be updated. I think we're closer now to over 950 data centers globally. Um, they're interconnected with either dark fiber or 100 gig or 400 gig waves that connect those data centers together. We always build redundancy out of those data centers. So, in the event that, one side, one link goes down, that diverse route that's out of that data center is going to keep the services up. And we interconnect those on a full mesh global backbone. Over the top of that, we add a software-defined network layer that allows customers then to control all of that network connectivity and spin up the connectivity that they need on demand. Also, part of that global network is our cloud on-ramps, right? So we have over 280 cloud on-ramps, and those are private network connections that go into the cloud service provider. I believe we are the largest, most connected partner for connectivity into the cloud service providers. I know that I just found another one today. I was looking for a customer, and so we're constantly adding more on-ramps as needed to those different cloud service providers like AWS, Azure, Oracle, Google, IBM. And then we also have a large marketplace full of over 100 different cloud service providers and other, smaller service providers. We can connect you to Salesforce or to Nutanix or, SAP. There's a ton of different options. Well, and so let's go to the next slide. So, as I said that, we have a software-defined global network, but this is kind of at a high level. You can see our backbone, and this is kind of just a representation showing some of the locations, but we have a large presence in North America, EMEA, and APAC. We were originally founded out of Brisbane, Australia, and we, started building that network with the, because it was just taking too long for the telecommunications, the legacy telco providers to provide that connectivity. And so we wanted to make it simple. And so we just interconnected it and created that software-defined network that allows you to spin up that connectivity in a minute, from anywhere in the world. We're in over 26 countries. We recently just added in Brazil. So we do have a few data centers down in the Sao Paulo market. But yeah, it's a very well connected network. Some of the services that we provide, I'll get into a little bit more in detail later on, but we have DC to cloud, so that's data center to cloud, and that could be any of those 950 data centers where we're located. You could spin up a port in there. It's a high-speed Ethernet interface in that data center, and then you order the cross connect, or we can order the cross connect on your behalf and connect your equipment to our equipment. Then you can spin up that connectivity into the cloud service provider on demand. And so this is using a VXC, a virtual cross connect, to connect your equipment to the cloud service provider. Then we offer cloud to cloud connectivity. This comes in a few different options, but the main option would be using a Megaport cloud router as an access component. In this instance, you don't even need a physical connection to Megaport. You can spin up that Megaport cloud router and connect it to your Azure environment and connect that to your Oracle environment, essentially creating a low latency connection in less than a minute between your two cloud service providers. Then we've got DC to DC. So this is creating like a point-to-point connection between two of your data centers. And then we've got virtual edge. That is Megaport Virtual Edge. That's our compute that sits at the edge of our software-defined global network. It supports network function virtualization platforms like Palo Alto, Fortinet, Aruba for SD-WAN, Aviatrix, 6WIN. There's a lot of different images, and we are adding additional images or vendors in the future. Um, so, with this, you bring your own license, and let's say, for instance, you're doing, a Palo Alto deployment for Prisma. You can bring your own Palo Alto license, put it on our virtual compute or on our compute, and then spin up that virtual appliance on the edge, and then incorporate it into your existing Prisma environment. Um, so that's really popular right now. We've got a lot of customers spinning up virtual edges. They can deploy firewalls instead of putting it in two different cloud service providers, for instance. You could put one firewall instance on our edge and then connect that up to the two cloud service providers and create those policies directly on our firewall that we provide. And then internet exchanges. Internet exchange, I think we're in over 27 internet exchanges around the globe. You can set up multilateral, bilateral peering. We've got a lot of different IX partners that are connected in there that you can peer with. And then some of the access components, I kind of went over these already, but so we've got ports, that's the high-speed Ethernet interfaces that are, that you can spin up in a data center. They come in 1, 10, and 100 gig options. Got the Megaport Cloud Router, and that goes up to 100 gig as well. You can spin up the Megaport Cloud Router in one data center in, let's say, in Ashburn, or you can put it in two, right? If you wanted redundancy or diversity, you can spin that up and then interconnect that and create like a full mesh environment with multiple locations. So you can have AWS, Azure, Oracle all hanging off here in one connection to your on-prem. That allows that on-prem to have its own, full mesh routing table with the cloud service providers. And then virtual edge is the compute that we offer. So these are our access components. I like to refer to them as like our Lego blocks, right? So you can build your network and customize, a solution that works best for your enterprise. And so you can connect these together or just do them standalone. And we use these VXCs as the connectors, right? So these are virtual cross connects. They're essentially an Ethernet virtual private line that you spin up on demand that connects these access components together or connects these access components to another endpoint, whether that's a cloud service provider or that's Megaport Internet or going to our Internet Exchange or to our marketplace or all of the above. You can, one port, one MCR, one virtual edge can connect to everything. And then we've got service keys. So say, for instance, you um, purchase another company that happens to be a Megaport customer as well. This allows you to connect your environment to their environment. So it crosses Megaport accounts. So you can spin up a service key and you'll say what VLAN you want it to be on, what the bandwidth is associated to it, and then give that to your partner or to the company that you just purchased, and they can spin up a virtual circuit into your environment. All right. And I threw some diagrams in here just to talk through the diagrams because I feel like, um, pictures are really worth 1,000 words, right? So I've got here in this instance, it's data center to data center connectivity. And so I wanted to kind of show you, we've got these diversity zones set up here. So if you wanted to, you could spin up a 10 gig or 100 gig port here. and then put it in the red diversity zone. And this is its own physical stack of equipment in this data center. And then you could spin up another one in the blue diversity zone. And so if we do maintenance in the red zone, we're not going to touch the blue zone. And that can be the same at both locations, right? And then you spin up these virtual circuits between these two ports. And all of this connectivity from this port to this port literally only takes a minute to create. The longest part of the implementation process is the cross connect. And as soon as you create this port, you're able to download the LOA and give it to the data center operator, and they'll order the cross connect. It takes about 2 to 5 days to get that cross connect installed, but once you're connected, then you can connect to anything on our network. And that could be to Azure as well, right? So I'm just showing, that same port could be connected, from your data center to your other data center, as well as connected to Azure. And with Azure, um, when you create an express route service key in the Azure portal, you bring that into the Megaport portal, and you can spin up that virtual circuit and a primary secondary. So with Azure, they deploy redundant or diverse equipment at each data center, just like Megaport does. So when we spin up that connectivity into Azure, you get full diversity into your Azure environment. And then I wanted to show, these ports are essentially they're a .1Q trunk that allow you to spin up multiple virtual circuits. And this could be, another data center, or it could be a marketplace. It's just any of these endpoints on our network that are already pre-configured, right? So I have these NNIs that are network to network interconnects. All of this connectivity is already established. It's just you spinning up a virtual circuit into those environments. So it literally only takes a minute for you to do it. And then this is the cloud router. In this instance, I just kind of want to show you that, with the cloud router, you don't need physical connectivity to Megaport. You can spin up this cloud router, and I have this one in DRT Phoenix and this one in Phoenix NAP. So I've got two diverse cloud routers, and then I've got my Azure environment directly connected to my Oracle environment. So let's say I've got an application running in Azure and a database running in Oracle. I can easily connect those together and not even physically connect my network. So I'm just connecting my cloud environments together using a Megaport cloud router. But if I wanted to, I could easily connect my on-prem environment into that cloud router as well. So now this one connection coming into the cloud router has access to both Oracle and Azure, because this creates a routing instance that's private to only you, right? So it's your own VRF that's connected into your on-prem, into your cloud environment. And of course, you can spin up multiple connections from here, to other cloud service providers, other data centers, and create that full mesh environment. And then with Virtual Edge, that is the compute that's at the edge of our software-defined global network. And so in this instance, I've got a Palo Alto firewall or Prisma SD-WAN deployed in Phoenix and one deployed in Ashburn. So now what this does is this allows all of my remote users in, let's say, in the Southwest, connect in over IPsec tunnels or over SD-WAN tunnels to this MVE edge. And then from there, they use private network to get into the cloud service providers or even to their remote locations in Ashburn. So what this does is it gets the users off the internet, local to the market, and gets them on private network globally. It reduces the egress data transfer as well. So if you're connecting all of these devices straight into Azure and into AWS, right? When you egress that data out of the cloud over the internet, you're getting charged around 9 cents per gigabyte. With this connectivity, it's around 2 cents per gigabyte. So you get a reduced egress data transfer, and you get that secure, dedicated private network connection into the cloud. And if you had this Prisma device in Azure and AWS, that's two images that you're going to deploy in these two different environments. With this, you only need one, right? So you're going to save on images as well. Um, yeah, I think that is it. Do we have any questions? Okay, I don't see any. Um, so let's go into it. We I'm going to do a live demo, and the demo today I'm going to provide is for connecting your on-prem environment. And I've got a data center that I'm going to deploy in Chicago at the DRT ORD10 location. And I'm going to connect that into my core site Chicago on-ramp into Azure. So yeah, let's get started. So this is the Megaport portal. This is the dashboard. You can actually provision your services here, and you see a visual. This is a demo account, so there's a lot of people in this account building services, but this is what it would look like if you had multiple services built in here. You'd be able to see them. You could interact with them if you wanted. You could go into a new location and start building from there, or you can just go into the service view, right? So if I go into services, I have a filter on here. Otherwise, you would see all of the services that are built. I just filter that out so it makes it easier for you to see what I'm doing. So let's get started. So up here are the access components. I'm going to go ahead and create a port. I'm going to find a location. So this is, you can search by city name. You can see all the data centers in the Chicago market. I can find the one that I wanted, and I said ORD10. I could search by ORD10 if I wanted to find that, but I can just click on it here, click next, and then I select the port speed. We have 1, 10, and 100 gig options available. I'm going to select 10, give it a user-friendly name, so I'm going to call this my Chicago primary, 10 GB port. Select a term. So let me just service level reference. This would be if you wanted to associate this port to, let's say, a project that you've got a project ID or maybe a billing account that you want this billed to. You can put that in there and it'll show up on your invoice. Just kind of gives you a way to tag it. So next is terms. We offer 1 month, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year terms. And if I went to a longer term, I could set them up for automatic renewal, or I can opt out of automatic renewal. I can also order cross connects directly. So if you wanted to have Megaport install that cross connect for you, you could just put it on a term and then select yes. Gives you the price for the cross connect, and that allows Megaport to manage your cross connect. So if there's ever an issue with the data center operator, we would work directly with the data center operator because we own the cross connect essentially, and we would troubleshoot that with the data center operator. But it does have to be on a term. Diversity options. So this is what I was talking about in the red and blue diversity zone. I can just go ahead and click create diverse pair and it automatically just creates a second port for me. And I can just give it a name. And now I've got a diverse port that's going to deploy. I can deploy this in a lag if I wanted to. So if in the future you say that, you think that you might want to add an additional 10 gig to create a, 2 by 10 gig port, you can go ahead and create it in a single member lag right out of the gate. So if you weren't to, if you tried to come back in later and do this, if you had the virtual cross connects built, it would take an outage for you because we would have to migrate that VXC from a standard port to an aggregate Ethernet interface or a port channel. So if you're gonna ever do it, it's good to just do it out of the gate. So it'll go ahead and set it up as single member lags. Um, I'll just keep it as a standard port. Click next, review your configuration that you selected, click add port, and it adds it over to a shopping cart over here so you can kind of just get an idea. You can continue to build on here if you want it, or I'll just go ahead and kick these off. So review order and order now. So now our APIs are reaching out to our equipment and actually, provisioning the service on our backbone. And you can see that it's in a deployable state right now. In a couple minutes, these will come up and you'll see a download LOA pop up here so that it allows you to download the LOA. So now from here, I can click on any of these tiles here to quickly create a connection, or I can go in here to plus connections, and I'm going to build a cloud VXC, and I'm going to build it to Microsoft Azure. So I need a service key. So luckily I went in and created one beforehand. So I've got an Azure Express Route service key here. This is my demo account. I come in, I grab my service key, come back into the Megaport portal, and I paste it in. It validates the key, so our APIs are reaching out to Azure to validate, where that key is located, gives you, your options for connecting in. I built this one at CoreSite in Chicago. You can see it's less than 1 millisecond to get from my port to the Azure on-ramp. So I'm going to build my primary circuit. Click next, give it a connection name. I'm going to call this my Azure VXC, and I'm building it at 50 meg. It goes up to 10 gig with Azure, but what it's doing is it's building the key based off of what I selected when I built the key in the Azure portal. So I can enable these or leave them in a shutdown state. So maybe I don't want the service to come up right away. I want to have it be more controlled. I could shut it down, or maybe I want to test failover. I could shut it down to test failover. Assign a VLAN. So this is the VLAN local to your equipment. So this would be the where you're going to create your .1Q trunk logical layer 3 interface on VLAN 100. Select a term. And then inside of Azure, because Azure uses Q and Q, you can go ahead and call out the VLAN that you want to use inside of Azure right here. And our software-defined, network, when you provision the service, our APIs, it really just populates the APIs and sends it into Azure and starts provisioning that environment. So I'm going to use VLAN. Let's just use VLAN 200 here. And then click Next, add VXC, and then review order. And order now. So that's that simple. So we've just created connections at the Chicago data center at ORD10, and now we're deploying a virtual circuit into the Azure private peering instance. You can see the LOAs are available for download, so you can go ahead and just click on that. Download the LOA, give it to DRT. They'll order the cross connect, or you can order the cross connect directly from them. But you can see both ports are ready. Got a VXC going in there. Let's just build a secondary VXC now. So if I go back in here, click on cloud, select Azure. I'm just going to go through the same process again. I believe my key is still in the buffer. Let's see. And now I'm going to build to the secondary. Click next. Connection name. I'm just call this my Azure secondary. And give that a VLAN. So it can be the same VLAN or a different VLAN because it's on a different physical port. So in this instance, I'm building this VXC right here. So you could use the same VLAN because it's a different physical port. If I had this VXC coming off the same port, it would need to be a different VLAN. But because I'm doing a diverse port, I can make it the same VLAN. And then select my term. My VLAN that I used inside of Azure was 200, so that's my private peering VLAN. Click next, add VXC, review order, order now. And within a few minutes, you should see this. Oh, it's already switched. So my provider status now says provisioned, so the service is provisioned. I can go into my Azure private peering instance and start provisioning that layer 3 configuration so I can get peering established to my on-prem environment. Um, any questions on any of that stuff? Pretty simple. All right. You can easily, with these ports, also create, connections to, the internet. So I just like to always show this into the marketplace, right? So if I wanted to from the same port, I click on connection, I can spin up a connection to the internet, Shows you local drains, right? So I'm in my blue diversity zone. So I would select my blue internet drain, click next, give it a bandwidth. It can be 1 gig, whatever you want it to be, up to 10 gig because it's a 10 gig port. Give it a VLAN. I'm already on VLAN 100, so I can go to the next available. You can see the VLAN 100 is not available. So I go to VLAN 101. It's the next available VLAN on there. Select my term, click next, add VXE, and now I've got an internet connection. And literally, it's going to come up in just a few minutes, right? Like 1 minute for the internet service. Um, you would be able to access the internet immediately. So here's my internet circuit. If I go into the edit, go to details, there's my IP. So it's already given me an IP address. Um, all right. Yeah, I think that concludes my demo. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this portal, but it is nice to get in here and play around, show you guys some stuff. Let's see. All right, yeah, it doesn't look like I have any questions, so I think we can wrap it up for today. So um, thank you for attending, and like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out at any time. Um, we're happy to hop on a call if needed and just knock out any questions that you have. Um, but yeah, thank you, and have a happy weekend and a safe Friday the 13th. All right, thank you.